Okay guys, so today we're going to talk about some troubleshooting tips for the EFITMENT T012 Treadmill and just go through some of the error codes that may be displayed on your console when you plug it in startup. So the first error code you may come across is either E01 or E13, and that's just a message failure. That means the computer, which is up here, and the wiring that shoots down here to the control board, we've taken the motor cover off here, is probably not connected. So if you're getting an E01 or an E13, what you're going to do is the computer wire runs through the leg down here, and actually you can see it pops out and shoots back up inside through the motor cavity. So you follow that tube, which is here, and simply comes down right here, this little white plug. So if you're getting those two error codes, you just simply check that plug there and make sure that's properly connected. And if it is, it may be a bigger problem than you think, but 99% of the time it simply just means that plug unseated itself. The second error code you may come across is E02, which means burst class protection, and that's the incoming voltage is either lower than 50% of the required voltage of this machine. So what that means is you do not have enough power coming out of your home's outlet to supply into this machine. And in a nutshell, this treadmill in particular draws a 10 amp draw. And what that means is on your home circuit breaker panel, most of them are single panel, single breakers that have maybe 15 to 20 amp breakers. This machine's powerful. It's already drawing 10 amps. So what happens is, if you have this treadmill plugged into an outlet that has other items like a microwave, a washing machine, a dryer, anything of that sort on the same line or circuit panel, you could be overloading and drawing too much power, which isn't now no longer enough to supply your treadmill. Happens in homes all the time. A lot of people will turn on their microwave and all of a sudden it pops the circuit breaker panel because you're just overloading it. So you could be overloading your panel if this treadmill is on the same line as too many other appliances. Now the next error code could be E03, and that just means the speed sensor signal is not working correctly. And so if you get an E03 error code, you just come down here. This is your speed sensor itself, and then you'll notice on the side there's a little magnet, and that magnet turns as you run, and the treadmill belt goes and passes the sensor. So the first thing you do is you just make sure this sensor is, one, is it connected? Yes, it is. Is it straight? It's not crooked in any way. And if that's okay, then you just check the magnet. Is there anything blocking it? Maybe too much dust or debris is covering it and it's not passing this properly. Or maybe the magnet completely just fell out completely. And lastly, you want to check is the wiring of the sensor, and just follow it all the way back to the motherboard, and you'll find where it gets seated, and just make sure it is actually plugged in correctly. Okay, so that's for the 03 error code. Now 05 means the incoming voltage is either too low or too high. That's almost the same thing as burst clash, and it has to do with your power outlet again. Probably not getting enough power draw to supply to the machine, or too much perhaps, but it has to do with your home's outlet and the power coming out of it. It also could mean, if you're getting 05, if you're sure that you have enough supply and power draw coming out of your outlet, something could be stuck or jammed. So what you'll want to do, take your hand and move the treadmill belt. Make sure nothing's being blocked. And you can see the belt and the motor up there turning. Make sure nothing up there is blocked. And hopefully that's all good. Sometimes dirt, debris, something can get stuck in there, and if it's blocked, it's going to trigger that code. Let's see. The next one would be an E06 error code, and that basically means there's a problem with the motor. the motor wire usually is not connected or the motor itself is damaged. So if you get an E06 error code, here's your motor. First thing you want to do, follow all these clusters of wires to each individual spot where it's seated into. Just check all the connections, make sure they're properly seated and connected. If they are, then your motor is damaged or fried. Usually that happens because customers are not properly lubricating their treadmill. Believe it or not, every brand new treadmill that you get needs to be lubricated underneath the belt for the very first time before you even use it. If you do not properly maintain and lubricate your treadmill, you will prematurely burn your motor. Let's see. The last error code would be E010, which basically means the motor is damaged or something is stuck. It's almost similar to the other error code. Just means you're having a problem with the motor rotating properly. So if you get the E010 error code, simply move your belt like so. Make sure everything over here is turning properly. Again, check your motor connections, make sure everything's connected. And if everything's moving, everything's connected, your motor is fried. So hopefully that helps troubleshooting all the error codes for the EFITMENT T012.